Here's what I'm going to tell you right up front. The Portland metro real estate market right now is sending two signals that seem to contradict each other. And I'm going to show you exactly what is actually happening when you look at the data the right way. My name is Lauren Perreault. I'm the managing principal broker at Fiv Realty here in Portland, Oregon and Vancouver, Washington, and I'm also licensed in California. Before I was in real estate, I spent years in aerospace engineering and manufacturing. In those jobs, data was the lifeline. You didn't make decisions based on one data point. You looked at trends. You looked at what the rolling averages were telling you. You looked at whether the system, whatever you were measuring, was in control or out of control. That's exactly how I look at this market. Every week I pull the data from the RMLS, our regional multiple listing service, and run it through a framework I've developed over 21 plus years. I'm going to walk you through what I found this week in detail. But first, let me explain the tool I use to make sense of all of it. A single week of data is noise. If your car's speedometer jumped around every half second, you wouldn't know how fast you were going. You'd want your average speed over the last minute or so. That's what a 12-week rolling average does for this market. I take the last 12 weeks of data, average them together, and then compare that rolling average to the same 12-week window ending the same week 1 year ago. That's where the signal lives. So let's talk about interest rates. OnPoint Federal Credit Union is quoting the 30-year fixed conventional rate at 6.125% this week. That's with half a point and a 6.228% APR. This rate moved up an eighth of a point from the prior week, which was at 6%. That's a modest increase, but the direction matters. The context? We hit 6.250% earlier in April, pulled back to 6%, and now we've ticked back up to 6.125%. We're in a range, 6% to 6.25%, and buyers need to operate with that in mind. Rates are not in free fall, but they're also not running away. A sixth of a point rise in a week is not a panic moment. It's a reminder to have your financing dialed in before you're ready to make a move, not after. Active listings. This is the supply side. Active listings came in at 6,764 this week, up from 6,708 the prior week. Not a huge jump. The 12-week rolling average for active listings is now 6,111. That same 12-week rolling average 1 year ago was 5,496. We are running about 11.2% above last year's inventory pace. Supply has been building all year. Think of it like a bathtub. Supply is the faucet, demand is the drain. The water level has been rising because the faucet is running faster than the drain can keep up. Although the drain has also picked up pace, meaning our whole market is getting a little hotter. We're going to get that in a moment. New listings this week, 659. Same week last year, per our RMLS data, approximately 795. So the fresh inventory faucet is actually flowing now at a slightly lower rate than last year. The reason active listings are elevated is that homes are staying in the pool longer before they sell. That's indicated by days on market. Average days on market this week, 66. Same week last year, 59. Median days on market, 22 versus 19 last year. Here's how to read those together. The median at 22 days means half of all homes that sold this week went under contract within 22 days. That's a functional, active market. The average at 66 days means there's a cohort of homes sitting much longer, pulling that average way up. My 12-week rolling averages, approximately 71 days for the average, 30 days for the median. Both are higher than last year. The market is not slow across the board. It's slow for overpriced inventory and to some extent for the higher price ranges. Now let's talk about demand. So the new and total pending. Now the number that every seller in this market needs to hear is 744 new pending deals went under contract this week. Same week last year, 635. That is a 17.2% improvement year over year in new pending sales. Buyers are not hiding. At 6.125% rates, with inventory elevated, buyers who are ready are moving as soon as they can find what they're looking for. Total pending sales, 3,504 versus 3,313 last year. That's up 5.8%. The 12-week rolling average for new pending is 652. Demand is alive. So 518 homes closed this week. Our RMLS data showed the same week last year at 506, slightly ahead of year over year. The 12-week rolling average for homes sold is 468 versus 431 last year, an 8.6% improvement in pace. So let's talk about the price story. The average sale price this week was $610,455 versus $651,602 last year, a 6.3% year-over-year decline. The median, $550,000 550,000 versus 565,000, down 2.7%. On the surface, that looks like falling prices, but the sale to list ratio tell a very different story. The average sales price as a percentage of asking, 100.1%. The median, 100.02%. Homes that are selling right at or fractionally above asking price. Those two things, prices down year over year and homes selling at list, are both true, and together they describe a bifurcated market. We've been talking about this for weeks. Well-priced homes are closing at full ask. Overpriced homes are sitting, cutting, and eventually selling lower than if they'd started out lower in the first place. And that's what's dragging the averages down. The average sale as a percentage of the original asking price was 97.69% compared to 97.93% last year. That gap between asking and original tells you how many sellers are having to cut before they close. Last year's median sale to list was 101.7%, and this year it's 100.02%. The era of broad bidding wars has softened significantly. Let's talk about price reductions. There were 671 price reductions in the past 7 days. 322 of those were 15,000 or more. Last year, 660. We're nearly flat year over year, but the 12-week rolling average is about 588. So this week was slightly elevated compared to recent trend. And note, 659 new listings, 671 price reductions. More cuts than fresh listings. The current inventory pool is getting feedback from the market. And please understand, we don't make the market, we just help you interpret it. Bumpable and distressed, 89 bumpable transactions this week, 25 were new. That a bumpable is when they take a contingent offer for the buyer to sell their old home. REO and short sales remain very low, 78 active, 88 pending. The distressed pipeline is not a factor in this market. So what does this all mean for you? If you're a buyer, you have real choices. Inventory is up, sellers are making price adjustments, and rates are manageable if you're financially prepared. Get pre-approved, know your targets, and be ready to move on homes that are priced right, because those do go fast. Sellers, the data give you one clear message: price accurately from day one and price to get attention. The 22-day median days on market for sold homes is the reward for getting it right. The 66-day average is the cost of getting it wrong. There is no version of this market where overpricing and hoping for the best ends well. The buyers are out there. 744 of them went under contract this week, but they are shopping the full inventory at 6,764 homes, and they have context. Give them a reason to choose yours, and especially give them a reason to notice yours on the internet. I always recommend pricing a tiny bit below what you think it will sell for, just to get the attention. If you're pricing over that, you may not get anybody to come see it. And if they can't see it, they can't fall in love with it. So if you want to search for homes, pdxhomesforsale.net has live MLS listings. For the full written analysis of this week's data, pdxhomesforsale.com. Reach me at lauren@pdxhomesforsale.com or 503-683-1885. And please subscribe to this channel, Lauren Perreault, Realtor PDX. I'll see you next week.